My wife 100% saved my life. 5'2", gorgeous little blonde, saved my life as this big, burly, I thought I was tough guy. She told me and gave me permission to like work on myself and understand what the definition of self-love is, and that it was okay for me to come to my wife and say, I know I have every reason to live, but I don't want to.
Hi, and welcome to the Flat Bill Investors Podcast. I'm Josh Zaglaski.
And I'm Zach Spencer. Welcome. Exciting to be here today. We have got a monumental man of a man on the podcast today. He started his career in construction and then has made a very abrupt and nice switch into the social media and influencing world. He's got a world-class beard, and you might know him from his podcast and from some other ventures that they're doing right now. We got Logan Peterson.
Thanks,
Logan,
man.
welcome.
Monumental is a strong word.
No,
Thank
come
you.
on. Look at that. Look at that thing. No, you're
I call it like grow your own jawline. You know, like you have no idea what my chin looks like.
It's like the James Harden.
Very well groomed. How often do you groom it?
So I normally get it like a trimmer shape up probably every like 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it grows way too fast.
Well, it's thick. So it's
when I had mine, it was every other week.
So no, Logan, you've got people would probably know you if they're watching, or if they don't, it's Dad Bods and Beards is your channel, your brand.
Yeah.
Tell us who you are a little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, my name's Logan Peterson. I've been doing social media for about 3 years and was trying to do the full-time job, which I was working with my brother as like the right-hand man in his construction company. We did trucking and commercial excavation and 70, 80 hours a week in the real high time of the summer, but also trying to do social media. And, you know, you go through the ups and downs of like, oh, this monetizes really well. And then they change their algorithm and you don't monetize as well. So it never really was like time to like.
How long were you working with your brother, you said?
Close to about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, he and I have been working together. But then, I mean, there's a million other places that we worked together growing up where he was the GM here. I was the sales guy there. I mean, I dabbled in marketing. I was an insurance agent for State Farm and Allstate for a little while and just doing the whole like young guy route. I ran, you know, door-to-door sales teams in my early 20s. And
nice.
And it's like, now I'm sitting here, like if 20-something-year-old Logan can look at 35-year-old Logan, I was like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
Like you're doing social media. What the heck, social media?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do that. I grew up in California, we talked about, and then moved out here to Utah about 8 years ago. Lived here on and off when my wife and I were first married. Got into the funny bearded side of social media. Believe it or not, there's something called Beard Talk on TikTok.
On TikTok, Beard Talk.
I bet
A
it would
bunch
be.
of bearded weirdos.
There's
but
a niche and all that.
it's a really fun, uplifting, supportive community. My best friend and I, I host Buds and Beards with, he owns a men's grooming company, which that'll be a really cool episode. You guys got to get him on here.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Tyson's awesome.
And we got connected over that. We did a couple of YouTube lives and Instagram lives talking about his products and things. And we just got a couple of guys being like, hey, your guys' chemistry is too funny to not. We kicked around a podcast and we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary of the podcast.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I had no
There's
idea.
not that many men's groomers that aren't like angry. They're always happy. They're always like, I bet it's a good group.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, it's funny of like, it's almost like an extension of like your mental health or your physical health or just like self-love because you're taking the time to work on your appearance. And with Copper John's, the grooming company is, his motto is be proud of who you are. Because unfortunately there's a lot of men's grooming companies out there that are like Vikings and bikers and pirates like you're not a man if. His big thing is you're man enough. Like, you know,
even if you don't have a good beard, like, would my beard, like, what's the length to get into some of these groups?
Dude, beard oil is beard oil is for your skin.
I'm just
Yeah, technically, you and I should. I mean, I use beard oil sometimes now, but you definitely. I should probably do it every day.
Yeah, we've got some good beard oils. I need to cop me some Copper Johns though.
Yeah, you got some good ones, but you don't got some.
That's actually the reason why I didn't grow a beard for years, because every time I'd have a little bit of scruff, I'd be like, it's so itchy. I would never have a long beard.
Dandruff.
And then my buddy's like, have you not tried beard oil? I'm like, is that a thing? I thought it was like for someone that had long beards. Yeah. No, it's for.
Well, that's the big thing is like and that's kind of where this all came from was like both having like this love affair with having a beard and grooming it. And I originally grew my beard out and started growing it longer because I was using it as a shield for some mental health struggles. It made me feel more manly, made me feel more masculine. You get compliments from other dudes, not from women. You get them from really like, hey, sick beard, bro.
I was just going to say, does your wife
how long did you start growing a beard then?
Probably since 21.
Okay.
And there are a few times I had to shave it for work here and there. You know, worked for UPS for like 6 months and then like right after I leave, they have a beard policy now. You can have one. Nice. But yeah, it grows so fast that I was literally tearing my face apart shaving. So since 21, I've always had either a short beard or stubble, but like the length I got into probably about 8 years ago. And it was like, made me feel more masculine, made me feel more tough, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, guys appreciate it a lot more, because it reminds me of, I had a Jeep in high school and now I have a Jeep now. And did you guys ever know there's like if you have a Jeep, like you're in a club, right?
I was a 4Runner guy. So we're kind of like opposite ends.
But it's like, you get a Jeep guy, it's like you always do the peace sign or below. But the same thing with beards. Like you see a guy with a beard, like, dude, nice.
It's called the beard nod. You literally like get the nod in this grocery store.
Because when I had my beard, and I did it through COVID and then I kept it because I really liked it. My wife loved it. The only bad thing is when you had the mask, you take it off and it's like this indent of your mask.
I get a crease right here.
So what you do, I used to wear they came out with beard masks that like literally just draped.
Really?
I saw those. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It didn't tuck under your chin. You get the beard wave, but it's funny you said that your wife likes
beard wave. There's names for it. He knows all the things beard.
It's a whole weird
the next pandemic, we'll make sure.
The next one. But no, it's funny you'd ask. My wife likes it. My wife likes me probably with your guys' lengths. She doesn't love the long beard, but
does she put up with it or does she?
But it's kind of part of my identity now, and it's like I can't.
Yeah.
It's obviously part of the podcast and stuff, and my kids love it.
Yeah,
and you go through phases where you shave it off and keep it shorter, but
part of the brand. I like it. So obviously you're a family man.
Yeah.
You got, we've talked a lot about your beard. How long have you been growing the dad bod?
Oh, the dad bod.
We got the beard side.
Middle school. I started really committing to that. Yeah.
Right when I started the brand, I decided
if it's dad bods and beards
twice a day.
That's the same thing too. That's kind of the reason why we decided to name it Dad Bods and Beards is because it's kind of a comical thing and it's a men's mental health brand, right?
Yeah.
So when we say that or just looking at it, people kind of get like dad bod is kind of comical. But in reality, like if you look at the statistics, the mass majority of guys out there, like how many guys have a six pack? Or even, they have like a dad bod.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, that's a very loose term. Like, dad bod is more so like you just got a little bit of chub, not you're like a big guy.
Yeah.
So, but it's very disarming and like fun.
Yeah.
That's our big thing is we like to draw people in with like the relatability and the comical, and then we hit them.
Your social media is so funny. And that's one thing that has drawn me to be like to follow you guys and then to watch those.
Thanks.
Is even like this week you guys did a post about the trust fall or something.
Oh yeah.
the thing where I was like, man, I thought you were going to really do it anyway. I was waiting for someone to get crushed.
One of our like shticks is like funny, believe it or not. So Tyson and I, with one of our primary sponsors, we're getting big on just improving our health.
Uh-huh.
So he's down about 55 pounds and I'm down about 50 from when we started.
Good for you guys.
Wow,
so,
for you. But
the funny thing is when we first got started, we doing things together, he and I were a lot bigger and he's a big dude.
He's already super tall.
Former, like college offensive lineman or defensive lineman, excuse me. And, so we would do these different things and it quickly became this shtick that like Tyson would like crush me. Or fall on me or and I would die. So that was where that came from. So the trust fall, Tyson goes to jump on me and then it just cuts to like my obituary photo.
Yeah, it was fun. It was funny. So
yeah, I remember when I first heard about you guys, it was from Sean Finnegan. Even knowing that I was coming on with you today, I showed my oldest son. I'm like, have you ever heard these guys? And he's a high schooler and he's like, no. I showed him and we chuckled for a couple of your reels. So you guys have really good content.
Thanks, man. We try.
So you've talked about the mental health. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah. So men's mental health it's getting a lot better, right? There's obviously the stigma behind that. I mean, I think the biggest perpetuators of the negative side of men's mental health is men. Like we put it on ourselves and like we put it on each other of don't talk about it. It's weak. If you do, you're less of a man, you're less masculine. So our big
I think it comes from our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents.
Yeah. I mean, I tell this story quite a bit, but I found out a year and a half ago that my great-great-grandfather or I don't know exactly how many greats, but for generations, we were told he died falling off of a horse and hitting a tree up in northern Utah. Found out he actually took his own life in an asylum, but because it was so taboo and that was such this family tarnish, literally for generations, we changed the narrative of how he died. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's in this perspective now, I'm like, that's so insanely disrespectful to like his legacy.
It's hard.
Of like, well, we can't even talk about how he actually passed because it's so egregious. Mm-hmm. But in reality, now with the push towards mental health, what we try to do and what a lot of people are trying to do out there is giving men permission to talk about the things is actually a bigger sign of masculinity and a bigger sign of strength like bottling it up to me is not one, it's not healthy. You end up taking it out on the vulnerable people in your life, your wife, your kids, you know, friends, versus it takes a lot of strength to sit down with someone you trust or, you know, go through the gambit of finding somebody you can trust and being like, hey, I'm not okay. I'm struggling here. And for me in 2017, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and that answered questions that I'd had going all the way back to 2009.
Yeah.
And so it was, you know, I was starting to show.
You knew that you didn't feel right.
Oh yeah. But I never talked to anybody about it. Like I was having, I don't know how deep you want to go, but I was having hallucinations. I was having manic episodes where I was hallucinating and I was seeing demons. They were following me. They were chasing me. They were quote unquote.
So you knew something was up.
Yeah. But the thing
and
is,
you literally didn't tell anybody.
Well, no, I did at times. I was pretty heavily involved in a church at the time. And some of the people I talked to were like, oh, they're just, you know, it's, you know, the other side pushing hard to try and get you to, and put it out of your mind and, you know, trust this, you know, read this, pray here. And for me nothing ever got better. So then I did start to bottle it up and then went through my life, met my wife, and I got really good at putting on a mask, got really good at always being the happy-go-lucky fun guy, but you can only suppress something so long before it explodes.
It's funny because, sorry to interrupt you, but I've said this so many times to so many people, there's so much truth in the comedy anger management.
100%.
Oh yeah.
I remember like 5 years after I watched it, I just still remember like, there's a lot of truth to that movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. But it's also like you see, like, because we bottle up so much and you just bottle up and then the anger comes out, right?
Well, and I think
100%.
one of the observations about men's mental health, I've been involved with a few guys who are really heavily involved in this same movement. Yeah. And one of the sentences that always sticks out and I always think about consistently is that men don't talk about anything until it breaks.
Exactly. So
when you're bending, when there's pressure, when there's stress, it's not enough to like make you like go get help. It's when something breaks, but sometimes that break is fatal or that break is irreparable damage that's done rather than going and saying, hey, like, I'm not good. So
one of the analogies that I use all the time is like, especially as men, we're inherently fixers, right? Like if something breaks you're going to like want to fix it, especially if it's like, you know, or like my wife will like, hey, can you take care of this? Because I have a track record of being able to fix little things around the house. You know, if you were to get a flat tire on your car and you're driving, you're not going to just keep driving and ignoring that it's flat.
True.
Right. Like you're going to pull over, you're going to change the tire, you're going to figure out the situation. Unfortunately, that's what men do with our mental health quite a bit. We ignore it like it's not there. And then the rubber rips off and then your rim on road and the rubber tears off your fender and it rips the bumper off and it just progressively gets worse. Yeah. And sometimes it's so much deeper than even just anger. It's suicidal ideation. It's, you know, it's destructive behavior. It's financial abuse. It's physical abuse, emotional abuse, and, you know, self-abuse, you know, addiction. This is really corny, but it says a lot of repression causes depression. And the best way to handle that is expression. And so men for so long, they say, oh, it's weak to talk about that. Well, reality is most men don't want to talk about it because it forces them to realize that there's some things that they probably need to address. And it's not weak. Like, oh, you know, everybody has trauma. Well, not necessarily to the same extent, but for me, it manifested in, you know, bipolar is a very extreme chemical imbalance. It's one of those things that is verifiable, scientifically proven. This is not just, I need to go touch grass.
It's like that. What's the old timey doctor that says you've got demons? Like, you know, it's like, well, you really ought to, it's chemical, it's hormonal. There's things that are happening there.
Yeah. Like the chemicals that would get switched around and messed up inside inside my amygdala, I would get something called amygdala hijack. So I would get stuck in my fight or flight center and I would react. And where it all kind of came to the head is in October of 2017, I was having another one of these hallucination moments, was banging my head on the front door, screaming to get the demons out of my head. And my wife was pregnant with our second child. And when I finally come to, she's sitting on the ground holding her stomach crying. Oh, man. And it's dawning on me. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. A little bit of family intervention moment. And my parents picked me up to take me to the psychiatrist the next morning. And I blacked out and disappeared that night. And that running down a 2-lane road for just under 3.5 miles, no sidewalks, no street lamps, and ended up in a pharmacy parking lot. And the police found me. And I don't believe in coincidences because the police officer that found me saved my life. And I stayed in contact with her. Was able to finally introduce her to my wife and kids this last Christmas. Wow. And wow. She's almost like a second mother to me, the way that she's become a mental health resource officer. But that night, I was pretty much faced with two choices once I finally came to my senses after going to the hospital, seeing a psychiatrist, getting my diagnosis.
And this is a manic phase.
It was a full manic episode. Yeah. And then when I finally kind of came out of it, went to the ER, went to a psychiatrist the next day. As a man sitting between your mother and father in a psychiatrist's office waiting room, and you have to ask your mom how old you are because you can't remember.
Yeah.
It's a very eye-opening experience. And then all the way down to my dad telling the psychiatrist she had me pegged within 5 seconds. She's like, you're bipolar. Yeah, you've got ADHD. I was on really high doses of some medication I probably shouldn't have been on that made it worse. So that's kind of where it sparked for me is it just, my dad's saying, well, you don't want to lose Logan. And she's like, well, the Logan that you've known for a long time is the guy he's letting you believe is Logan. That's not who is behind all the masks.
You started by saying it's getting better. How do you feel it's getting better, and what can people, you talk about expression. I think that's a good thing. One thing that you talked about that I've said just in regular business is I used to talk about business around the wrong people, people that just don't want to hear it, don't understand it. And I feel like that's almost the same for me with mental health. Maybe it's just not the right person you're talking to. How do you feel it's getting better, and how can people get better?
So I think that to that, I'm glad you brought that up, because to that point, unfortunately, as you're starting, if you have the courage to start talking about this, you will find people that are not the people to talk about it with. You will find, and sometimes, unfortunately, it could be a best friend, it could be a spouse, it could be, it could be a partner, it could be anybody, like people that you think you can rely on don't have whether the emotional capability of handling it, or they have something themselves that's keeping them back from it, or they just simply don't have empathy for it. It's getting better because it's one of those situations that we've got a friend that runs a organization that provides service dogs for veterans and first responders with PTSD. Mm-hmm. And his whole slogan is, it's not weak to speak. And these are veterans and first responders. These are the people that are running towards the fire, running towards the fight.
So they're not weak.
Exactly. Yeah. They're the people that have seen stuff that they won't even put in movies, right? It's getting better because more men are speaking up, and more. This is another big one: is more women are holding space for men. I know that's kind of like a weak thing to say, especially around like the movies that come out, like holding space.
Nah.
Like when my wife 100% saved my life. 5'2", gorgeous little blonde, saved my life as this big burly. I thought I was a tough guy. Mm-hmm. She told me and gave me permission to like work on myself and understand what the definition of self-love is, and that it was okay for me to come to my wife and say, I know I have every reason to live, but I don't want to. And that's a very weird conversation to have with the woman that I promised the rest of my life. Sure. I was going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of our babies. I will fight for everything. And so it takes a special individual to be able to have that conversation with. And unfortunately, you will go through a gambit at times of finding the wrong people.
Yeah. But
when you do find that one person, you do find that pack of people, it makes all the difference in the world. And then I think at that point, you have, this was said to me on our podcast, that you have a responsibility and a calling that if you've made it through the fire, that you need to turn around and grab a bucket and head back for the people that are still in it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So then it becomes this like, it's like, I almost feel like this isn't just like a passion for me and Tyson has his whole stories with him and some battles that one of his kids has gone through. It like I said, it kind of becomes a calling. It kind of becomes something that you don't have a choice, because you know that darkness and you know that pain that you're like you can almost like see it. You can almost see it in somebody. Sure. And then when you can't see it in somebody, and then you hear about somebody that, is struggling or didn't, like kind of ended their fight, it breaks your heart that much more, because you're like, gosh, I didn't even see it. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's like the lucky thing for all of us who get to watch you or now get to support you or be a part of the movement that you're doing is you guys balance it out so well with the humor and the comedy.
Yeah.
So it's not like you go to your page and it's all just doom and gloom and sadness and all these things. Like you get to say, okay, yeah, we have our moments of let's get serious and talk about these things that really do affect our lives. But then let's also have some funny things too. So you guys do a really great job of balancing that out.
I appreciate that.
What do you do each and every day or week to make it so you don't go back to that spot?
So that's a really good question, because there's ebbs and flows with it, right? I mean, like there are highs and lows, and some days you're great, and some days it goes amazing for, months. Another thing is everyone gets so mad about the word trigger. Like, oh, he's triggered. Oh, you're so triggered. Like, well, in reality, there are trauma triggers with some people. There are, situational, there's seasonal. Some people go through a seasonal, depression or anxiety. Some people have, like my wife, she has certain situations she has a hard time processing because they remind her of the times when everything was falling apart and I was, ruining our life, so to speak. So you have to find something that works really well for you, and you have to do the best you can to stick with it. And I'm a big proponent in whatever works for you. I know there's a lot of people that are very anti-medication. There's a lot of people that are very anti the holistic side. For me, I've been able to marry the two of those together, and I've had freaking cacophony of medication that I've been on at times, like pill after pill after pill. And they're necessary for a certain time. And now I'm down to as needed here, but this again, coming from the construction industry, I've heard all of the excuses of what a man really is. And, but I've also hugged some of our employees that lost a brother because of a suicide incident.
Yeah.
I meditate every single day. I utilize an app called Newcom, where it's frequency and vibration based, that literally it's a medical device, the way that it alters your brain chemistry during the time when you're using it. And then implementing self-love practices. Like, I do things for myself because I know that as I take care of myself, I will be better for my wife, better for my kids.
That's what my wife's really helped me with. Cause it's kind of where you started with the whole conversation, is us as men, and the things that we learn from our parents, our grandparents, and no offense to them.
No,
but
they were trying, man.
But I grew up like, be tough, be tough guy.
You grew up in Morgan.
I know.
And that makes sense.
So, but my wife's, bless her heart, has really helped me become that softer side.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about the word trigger, I've always said that to me, 30 years ago, that word was ornery. I used to hate that word.
Sure.
Like, I'm not ornery, like now it's triggered to me, but it's definitely helped me. I had an interesting experience 2 weeks ago. I've coached basketball for a long time. I have two boys, senior and freshman now. When they're kind of in late elementary to middle school, I coached them for like 5-6 years in comp basketball. So I coached, I would say, over the course of 7-8 years, probably 40-50 kids. And it always comes down to that one that's like, dude, that kid was so awesome, you know? And anyways, 2 weeks ago, this kid, I won't say his name, he's a senior now. So he played with my oldest, did everything I asked, like was in the huddle, never talked back, would go play, would do extra time on the court, all that stuff, really worked hard.
Yeah. And
he posted 2 weeks ago, and I texted his mom after this post, but it said, my name is blah, blah, blah. I attempted suicide last year.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart, cause he's a senior in high school, he was going through obviously something. And I asked what the situation was, and I won't go over the details what that was, but it was something that was pretty hard in high school, especially in sports. So I responded like, I'm so glad you're here to tell your story. Number one.
Yeah.
100%.
And I said some other stuff too, but even last week I was in Orlando with my commercial real estate mastermind group. And that was part of my presentation. My whole one of my slides was, make sure you're always asking questions, even to the youth, because they're going through some hard stuff. It is different than it was when I was in high school, which was 30 years ago, but there's a lot of people that I don't know where they went right after high school, because we didn't have social media like there is today. But I don't know what direction they went, so. Well,
and I'm glad you brought that up, because this is the big thing too, is that like a lot of times men's mental health, or mental health in general, gets just slapped with this, like, oh, you're being too soft. The approach that we try to take, and a lot of people that we've started rubbing shoulders with, is that there's two sides to it. There's the acknowledgement and the awareness of it, and then there's the action side. We are making it extremely clear, like, we are not just about let's just talk about your feelings.
Sure.
As a man, I think, and there's some people who call this toxic masculinity or whatever, that you have a responsibility to then act on that. Like, okay, like, there's every statistic in the world that I had to excuse myself to, like, well, I'm bipolar. And with this, well, I'm bipolar. And then when the switch kind of came, that making it a platform instead of a crutch, of like realizing that, hey, if I want to save my marriage, if I want to have a relationship with my kids and have them be someone that they're proud that was their dad, and not like, well, my dad lost his mind when I was a baby and I don't really have a relationship with him. And it happens. There are people that have extreme situations, but I feel like there's a level of which you owe it to yourself and the people you care about to try. And if that means going to therapy, I'm sorry, but suck it up, go to therapy. Like, that's a phrase that people probably have never said, suck it up and go to therapy. Because until you've got, like, it's literally don't knock it until you've tried it.
It's funny. So, I've been the person that's not good till you try it. Until, and my wife, she's always talked about, like, let's just go to marriage counseling, marriage therapy together, and went 4 or 5 months ago. We are so much closer and there's conversations that, I didn't see and she didn't see either. And we look forward to it. We do it every other week now, you know,
That's
and we
awesome.
look forward to it each and every time. And it's something that's been really good for us. So with your movement and stuff, how can they find you? What's some resources that they can, you know, find through, because you mentioned, I think 3 or 4 different apps. What's some places that if someone's listening that they can find you or find some sort of resources?
Yeah. So you can find, I mean, just the easy one is Dad Bods and Beards is where you get the podcast and stuff that we're doing. And then you can link to me and Tyson separately from there. But yeah, like a great place to start that is actually very affordable if you're looking to just like some at-home therapy without having to go through the whole, like BetterHelp.com. We're not even sponsored by them, but they're like an amazing,
BetterHelp.com.
Yeah. There's a lot of free groups out there, like men's groups. Like, and that's the thing is just start speaking up. Like, I mean, even networking events, like you'll find your people. And the biggest thing is just, you have to speak. You have to speak up.
Yeah. I love that quote. You said it's not weak to speak. Like that guy's thing is
I like
awesome.
that.
Yeah. It's because all of us probably need that outlet sometimes, and creating that platform that you guys are creating.
Yeah.
I applaud you. We applaud you. It's been,
Thanks for your story, Logan.
It's really, really cool to see what you're doing, and hopefully we can grab a hold and support where we can.
Yeah,
and
you guys are awesome.
And I love having you on here, man. It's been good to get to know you better and hear your story, and appreciate you being on.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Well, until next time, invest in yourself.
Invest in your future.
This is the Flat Bill Podcast, signing off.